friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we are doing the meals that I'm preparing during our pantry challenge month, which is the whole of March. So I will link that video for you if you would like to know why we're doing a pantry challenge and sort of the rules for it, what we're doing this month. I will go ahead and link that for you. But this video is going to be week one of our lunches and dinners, because those are the only meals that I generally cook. Everybody just kind of fends for themselves for breakfast. We sort of just have the same stuff around: eggs, cereal, protein shakes, sometimes hash browns or waffles, and everybody just fixes their own. So this is just going to be lunch and dinner, and I think that's all I needed to tell you before we get into the video. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'm planning on doing these every single week, but we'll see how it goes. So enjoy! Starting out on Tuesday, we are actually having leftovers. Julia's birthday was the day before, so we brought home some chicken and fries from the barbecue place, and then we also had some leftover sushi. I am having a little bit of sushi, and then we are working our way through the powdered milk that we have, and so I added a little bit of that milk to some leftover like broccoli Alfredo. Now we are moving on to prepping dinner. Tonight's dinner is sort of like a lasagna soup. Anybody else have kids who you have to call it something different? I called it Italian soup because two of my kids don't like lasagna. But I'm just browning up some ground beef with some onions. I believe I put garlic in there at some point. And then I just have a bunch of Italian seasoning and oregano, salt and pepper. And I'm basically just going to mix that all together, get the onions cooked down, and then I'm going to add a jar of my homemade marinara sauce and then this carton of beef broth. And clearly I need two hands to be able to open up that jar. Now I'm taking some leftover sourdough bread and I'm going to turn this into our garlic bread. Typically when I make bread, the first day we have it hot, like with dinner, and then the second day I will turn it into toast or some sort of garlic bread. But I just mix my garlic, salt, and butter together, melt that all together, and the garlic kind of cooks in the hot butter and really makes it delicious. Just adding some pasta to the soup after it had been simmering for a while now, and this turned out really, really good. It was delicious. I used that rubber brush to brush all of that garlic butter on, and then that's just going to go into the oven, and that was dinner. Now on to Wednesday. I'm starting out the day by making a couple of blueberry crisps because we had small group that night. This is lunch. Again, it was leftovers, the rest of that broccoli Alfredo. And then for dinner that night, we just had the crisp. I was in charge of dinner, and I had a giant salad for lunch that day. I love to just use up whatever's in the fridge, pile it on top of my salad. There is a blueberry crisp all ready to go to small group. This is now Thursday, and I'm starting out the day with some hard-boiled eggs. I was really wishing the day before that I had some on hand for my salad. So I went ahead and got those started early in the morning, and then peeled them all up and put them in a container, and now I have them in the fridge. I like to have them for breakfast sometimes, and I really like to put them on my salad. It was just Jericho and I this day for lunch. We had leftover lasagna soup with the leftover garlic bread, and it was the perfect amount for just the two of us. Then we had some animal crackers with, I found this frosting left over from Christmas cookies, and we pulled that out and had it. This night I forgot to film, so we had tostadas. Really simple. Friday for lunch, it was going to be air fryer lunch. I just pulled out the chicken nuggets and fries. We really like this air fryer if you're looking for one. It has been really, really good. So that is what the kids' plates looked like. And then my husband was actually home not feeling the best. And so I made him some rice with soy sauce, and I just decided to have rice and soy sauce as well. So for dinner, I am pulling out, what am I pulling out? Oh yes, we had potato soup this night. So I had some frozen celery. I'm getting the carrots all prepped. And I only had half an onion left. I'm totally out of onion now. And I love this onion keeper. If you have one of these, that works really well. So I just chopped up all of my veggies. I'm gonna slow cook this. My pressure cooker has a slow cooker function, which most of them do, I think. And then this, I just peel all my potatoes. If I can remember to link this, if Amazon still has it, I love this food chopper. I use it for potatoes a lot. It's so fast. But I had the rest of a bag of potatoes. I think it was probably 8 or 10 potatoes of different sizes. Some were large, some were super small. But then I am just going to add all of them into the slow cooker. Add 4 bouillon cubes and then cover it with just enough water to cover the potatoes, and add some parsley, salt, pepper, and a half a stick of butter. It's been cooking for probably 3 or 4 hours on low. And then I'm going to add a can of evaporated milk and let that cook for at least another hour, and then turn it down to warm. I have this bag of bacon that I'm trying to use up, and I really like to use this on my salads, but then sometimes I like to just crisp it up in a pan a little bit. It just kind of gets it crispy again. And so we put some cheese and bacon bits on top of our soup. Now it's Saturday, and I am going to pull out some frozen turkey lunch meat. Sadly, it didn't get thawed out in time, but everyone had leftover potato soup, and then I had another giant salad. I have a lot of lettuce I'm trying to work through right now, but sadly that did not get thawed out in time for me to put it on my salad. That night I am making tater tot casserole, but I didn't have any tater tots, and I'm trying to use up these hash browns, so I went ahead and rehydrated them, and then I'm just crisping them up with a little bit of butter, salt, and pepper. My recipe calls for ground beef, onions, then you thin out a can of cream of mushroom soup, just enough to make it pourable. I put the hash browns on top of the meat and onions, pour over that soup mixture, and then we're gonna cover it with foil. Normally I bake it for an hour, but I figured since the hash browns weren't frozen that we would do it for only about 40 minutes or so, and that did end up actually being perfect. Then I'm going to get a jar of my green beans ready. I've started just draining all of the water out of them and cooking them in the microwave, which I'll show you here in a second. Now it is time to put the cheese all on top, and then you put the crunchy onions on top of that. And then we just put it back in the oven for another 5 minutes, to crisp up the onions, and then it is time to eat. As you can see, I drained out all the water and just put a little bit of seasoned salt in that jar, and then since it's a glass jar, I'm just going to microwave it, and that was dinner. Turned out delicious. Last day, Sunday, I need to take some stuff out of the freezer. Those are the wraps I'm going to use for enchiladas. And then I have 2 containers of enchilada sauce that need to be used up, and so I'm taking those out to thaw. For lunch, the kids all had leftover tater tot casserole, and then there was one little thing of soup left, which I cleaned up, and I had that with some saltine crackers. So by the time we got around to dinner on Sunday night, we had no leftovers, which was good. I am browning up a pound of ground beef. Had I had onion, I would have added onion to it, but I didn't. This is my homemade taco seasoning, which I am adding. I didn't drain it or anything, left it all in there. And then I'm going to put in maybe half a cup or so of salsa, mix that all around, and then I saw somebody else do this. They added some cheese to melt into the meat before they stuffed the enchiladas, and I will be doing that again. It made the filling really nice and creamy. I do end up adding some more cheese on top, but when you mix it into the meat like that, it just makes a nice creamy filling. I'm gonna spray my pan, and I'm using a disposable pan because I was going to visit my sister and I was gonna bring the leftovers, so I figured I'd just do it in that pan. Now I'm just going to fill my enchiladas. I put a little bit of meat and then a sprinkling of cheese. I also put a little bit of enchilada sauce in the bottom of the pan there. Wrap it up and keep going. Now I didn't have enough meat for the last tortilla, and I didn't just want to leave it, so I had these refried beans left over in the fridge, so I just did one bean burrito, put a little salsa. I could have also put a little taco seasoning, that probably would have been good, but I didn't think about it till just now. Some cheese, and then there'll just be one bean enchilada in there with the rest. So then we just take all of that enchilada sauce, pour it all over the top. It does change texture a little bit, but once it bakes, it's totally fine. So don't worry if it's a little separated. It's not like that when you take it out of the oven. Then we're going to use up the rest of that cheese, and then I do end up grabbing a little bit of mozzarella out of the refrigerator just because it needed a little more cheese on top. That's what it looks like going into the oven. Let's see if I can not drop it, doing it one-handed. And then I'd originally set the oven for 350, but I needed it to be done faster than that, so I bumped up the temperature to 375, and I think I did about 25 minutes. And I am to the age where if I don't set a timer, it's really bad, so I always set a timer. Here it is all finished, and then we're just going to serve it with all of the toppings that we had in the fridge with some tortilla chips, and it was delicious. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you in the next one.